Welcome back to Connor Thomas Health. And in case you didn't know it, and I didn't know it until recently, till I stumbled across it on the internet, today is World Gratitude Day. And I just love that. And I love that it provides just another opportunity for us to acknowledge things that we are grateful for and what that means in our life, as well as to kind of realize what, gratitudes and how that affects us in a positive way, both in our physical as well as our mental health. So a little bit of backstory, and I had to do some research to do this, was I looked into, what exactly is World Gratitude Day and where did it come about? Well, on September 21st, in 1977, a religious and meditation teacher named Sri Chinmoy, he was like I said, a meditation teacher. He really tried to promote peace within the world and individuals. He taught meditation regularly, and he also worked with different religious and even political organizations in order to try and bring connectedness towards each other and to one another. And in 1977, he led the opening meditation for the meeting of the United Nations, actually. And on that day, he kind of was the one that termed it World Gratitude Day. So I think that's just a great opportunity to kind of reflect on the things we're grateful for. And first, I just kind of want to go through what the benefits of slowing down and realizing what we're grateful for and the impact it can have in our life. So, taking time to appreciate these things and that we have in our life, it's been linked to lower rates of anxiety and depression, lower blood pressure, better sleep, more optimistic outlook on life, longer life expectancy actually, higher satisfaction in romantic relationships, and a better immune system and overall mental health and overall health actually. So first of all, what does it actually look like to be grateful, to express gratitudes, and what does that actually mean? So it can really be a pretty easy habit to implement, and it's something I encourage just about every client I work with to practice. I do it myself. I try to do at least 3 to 5 times a week, primarily in the morning, slowing down and taking time to write out a few things I'm grateful for. Sometimes I also incorporate some affirmations. Those are some things I'm good at or working towards, because that really kind of impacts my outlook for the rest of the day. So we've gone through so far what Gratitude Day is, what gratitudes are. Well, here are 5 ways that we can implement these practices into our life and to actually celebrate World Gratitude Day. So the first one is really simple. This might not come as much of a surprise to people, as a lot of people have heard of this type of activity, and that's simply having a gratitude journal. A gratitude journal is just taking time, like I said, with the things I incorporate in my own life to write down things that we're grateful for, things that we can acknowledge in our life that are either going well or things that we've maybe worked through. And it's just being more intentional and taking the time to do so. I prefer that people write it out on a piece of paper. I think it really sticks in and really sits with us. And like I said, you're more intentional, you're going out of your way to do it. And research actually shows that writing it down on a piece of paper is more effective and we remember it more than if we were to put it in our phone or a laptop or something like that. This next one is something that can really be beneficial not only to ourselves, but other people in our life, and that's writing a gratitude letter. And that just simply means writing down either to a significant other, a loved one, a friend, a coworker, just about anyone in our life, the reasons that we're grateful to have them in our life. So acknowledging, the things they do well, the things that, affirming maybe some of the things they're good at, or maybe how you're a better person because of them. And this can be really great to help build relationships, but just as importantly, it can affect us and how we view that relationship, how we view the world, and just that we're grateful to have friends or family members or loved ones in our life, and just how great that can really impact us overall. This next one may sound somewhat similar to the gratitude letter, and that's simply sharing gratitudes with someone else, specifically a loved one. And the way this looks is my wife and I take time to do this a couple of times a week to discuss the things we're grateful for in our life, things that maybe went well that day, things that we're grateful for, that took place, at work or in our different activities we're a part of. And that does a couple of things. It helps us to reflect on how our day went, the things that went well, the things that, we're acknowledging, because sometimes we just gloss over the things that we take for granted. Maybe before work, we were able to grab coffee with a friend, and, we just kind of took that for granted, especially after we had a busy day at work, maybe a stressful day at work. We forget that, oh, wow, that was a really great opportunity I had, something that in a day that might have been really stressful, we were able to see there's a really highlight there. There's something that I'm grateful for, something that impacts me, and that I'm grateful to have friends like that in my life. Also, it helps you build emotional intimacy with your significant other or whoever, even if it's just a friend, builds, some kind of relationship there. So like when my wife and I do it, it helps us to grow closer to each other. We get to tell each other about our day and the things that are going well. And we can even just express gratitudes for each other, the things that each other's doing well in the relationship, the things that we acknowledge the other is doing well, and just how important that person is to us. So far, we've talked about a gratitude journal, and that's just simply writing things down, things that we're grateful for in our life, and acknowledging them, taking time to slow down. And like I said, be intentional. Don't just roll out of bed and just think about it real quick, even though it doesn't take more than a couple of seconds or definitely about a minute or so, unless you want to reflect longer, to write those things down. So that's the first one. The next one we talked about was gratitude letters, writing letters of gratitude to people that are important in our life. And the third one was expressing gratitudes to each other and sharing things about our day that we're grateful for. This next one is meditation. And I think this is so important too, because, Sri Chinmoy, he was a meditation teacher. So it's a way to kind of acknowledge a little bit of some of the things he practiced and, really tried to emphasize. But also meditation is just another act of slowing down, practicing, mindfulness, and trying not to focus on things that might cause us stress. And this can look a lot of different ways. We can even just practice slowing down, breathing, and focusing on the things we're grateful for, trying to clear our mind. We can either, focus on nothing, or sometimes some people like to focus on something such as their breath. If they're outside, they can focus on a stream going by, the leaves, maybe the clouds moving, maybe the sounds of nature. That can be really beneficial. And some people are intimidated by it because they don't know how to start. But really the way they start is just by simply sitting down and taking a couple breaths. So sometimes in between clients, I just simply sit down for 5 to 10 seconds or for 3 to 4 cycles of breath. That makes a difference. And really, when doing any kind of meditative practice, doing it more often is way more important than doing it for a certain amount of time. So if you can do it for just, a couple of seconds a day, that's really going to pay off in the long run and really affect our mental health in a positive way. So meditation, gratitudes, focusing on our breath, that can be really great, and just trying to practice that more often than not, even if it's just for a short amount of time. And this last one may sound a little counterproductive or, almost the opposite of gratitude, but that's simply sitting down and reflecting over difficult circumstances in our life. That can be journaling about it, talking about it, or even just sitting in silence by ourselves. And the reason this can be great for practicing gratitudes is by going through some difficult circumstances, we're able to be grateful for the things we have now, or grateful for how those circumstances changed us. Maybe in a really tough job that you had at one time, it really helped you learn to be grateful for the job you have now. Or maybe it helped you to be grateful for the type of character it helped you to develop. Maybe you were able to be more assertive and go out of your way to find a new job. Or maybe you learned to communicate better for yourself. When we maybe went through a financial strain in our life, we're able to be grateful for the house we have now, or for the ability to go on vacation, or even just go on dates and spend time with loved ones. So this can be really important, because oftentimes when we go through a really tough time in our life, we often don't really think about where we were in the past. We often just want to be like, okay, that was a really terrible time. That was a terrible job, a terrible relationship. Or, it was really hard for me to go through that time. But we don't look back and see what we could have learned from it, or how that shaped us into the type of person we are now. And sometimes looking back at those things, we're able to realize, wow, I'm grateful for where I am today. And I'm very grateful that I don't have to go through that stress and that strain and some of the difficulties I had to go through in the past. So those are just 5 things that, can really impact our mental health and help us practice gratitudes. And again, they're practicing a gratitude journal, doing a gratitude letter to a loved one or a friend, someone important in our life, expressing gratitude to people in our life, such as a loved one, so that we can build emotional intimacy, practicing meditation, and last, reflecting off of difficult times in our life. And this doesn't have to be a big activity. Some people want it to be, some people want to put a lot of time into it, but simply sitting down and reflecting over the things we can be grateful for and expressing those gratitudes and just acknowledging all that we do have to be grateful for can really impact our mental health and our outlook on life in a positive way. And just like Sri Chinmoy kind of wanted, the reason he acknowledged gratitude as such a big deal, he even said, there's a quote that says, gratitude is humanity's first giant step. He believed that being grateful, and each of us, myself included and you included, just being grateful and taking that time to acknowledge those things helps to shape the world in a more positive way. It affects our outlook. It affects how I interact with, my wife, my clients, random people at the grocery store in a more positive way. And these little things can really, as he said, turn into a giant step to impact the world in a positive way. So I really hope that today on World Gratitude Day, you can practice implementing some of these things, slowing down, and just acknowledging all that you may have to be grateful for. So I hope you learned a few things. I hope that you can implement these things as soon as today, and I hope this helps you live a healthy and meaningful life.